Running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans. Welcome to Talking in Ovals. How's everybody doing out there on Monday, July 15th, 2024, episode number 97. I'm Alex Cuesta, partner in crime over there, Dave Hyatt. What's up, brother?
So today I'm on my e-bike. I'm on my way to work, and I'm pondering something.
Oh, what?
And as most normal people do, they ponder track things as they're going to work. Pondering, is Jakob Ingebrigtsen going to go down in history as the greatest time trialer of all time? Because he did it again this weekend, ran a 3:26, and he seems to never lose when it's an all-out race.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how that happens this year in the Olympics, because these are the races where it's been a little more strategy that he's had a little bit of trouble with those Great Britain guys. So I'm curious, and I'm curious if he'd be fine going down with every world record, but never winning. I mean, he's won at 5K, but never winning it in his prime event, because he looked darn good. I mean, those guys behind him were under 3:30, and he ran away with it easily.
Yeah. So I think you'll definitely, if he doesn't like lock it in with the 15, right? I think the 15 is the one that he wants.
He is only 22, so
he'll
he's
be-
got time.
He'll be Wilson Kipketer, because Wilson Kipketer was the same way. Wilson Kipketer could knock it out. Again, like you said, he won the 5K. So Jakob has that world championship under his belt. I think Jakob wins the Olympics. I think he actually doubles this year. I think he doubles. And if he's, I think, is he in the 5 or just the 15?
He's qualified in both.
I think
I'm
he
not
doubles.
sure whether he.
If he runs them both, I think he wins them both. And I think he runs away. I'm not going to lie. I think he's just going to, I don't think he's going to let it be a strategy race, because I think he knows if that's the case, Kerr, Yared, even, if Whiteman's hanging anywhere near him, if he's qualified, I think Whiteman's only in the 8, but I don't know.
But I think Kerr can run an all-out race with him now.
Kerr can't run it. Kerr cannot run a 328.
3:26?
320. Kerr can't do that.
I think he can.
I don't think he can. I don't think anyone's as fast as Jakob Ingebrigtsen, just like speed. But
I hope we find out.
I do too as well. And before we jump into this week's show, if you like what you're seeing, hello to everybody watching on YouTube, Facebook. I don't think we're live on X right now because we have some difficulties. You officially need to get verified. We paid Elon to go get verified, but it's taken a few minutes. So I don't know if we're live on X. It might be in a few days. So this one might have to get put up. But hi to everybody that's watching on YouTube, Facebook, and X, maybe. I don't know. If you are there and you like what you see, give us a subscription, spread this word of mouth, give us a like, leave a comment. We are friendly and we will say hi back. So please go do that. Follow us everywhere at Talking in Ovals. You'll see the logo. We are there. Last week's show, we had a great time. We had a really fun guest. We had Drew Griffith. He's a incoming freshman at Notre Dame, Butler High School alum, sub 4-minute miler in high school, and even more impressive to Dave and I, an 8:31 2-miler. So absolute freak of nature.
Not overlook that one.
He was so much fun to talk to. He was over in Flagstaff with his future Notre Dame freshman buddies and took the time to do a show with us. So shout out to all those guys.
Awesome.
Shout out to Drew. It was a fun show.
Shout out to Phil Grove.
Shout out to Phil Grove. Thanks again, giving it a listen. I'm going to give another shout out. Adam Nalvin, River Rock and Run 5K, Saturday, November 16th. Go there, register now. New 5K course. You can either split it up and do a 1.5 miles or a full 5K. And all the proceeds go to the Monmouth and Ocean County Food Bank. And you get some beer at the end. You get some good food. So go out there and enjoy that. And we're going to bring in our guest because I don't want to keep her hanging around. And then we're going to do one more shout out after that. But I'm bringing her in because she's just sitting there so kindly. And I want to get her in here. So she is Alex North. She is a New York State 400-meter champion from Lourdes High School and an incoming freshman at Penn State. What's going on, Alex?
How are you guys?
Doing well. We're pumped to have you on. And, someone, I think have we had any other female sprinters? We had, not current, we had Janae Valman, and she was fast, but not, she might be our first current high school and now going into college female sprinter, and a damn fast one at that, 55 seconds.
Yeah.
Incredible. So that was when I was the slowest runner in the MAC freshman year because I was coming off an injury. I think I ran a 54. So you were like 1 second slower than me. So
my money is on her getting you at the line.
My money's on her getting me when I was like at my best in high school too. So I agree. So I am pumped to have you on. Now, last shout out we want to give is to one of the former guests of the show and buddy of ours, Craig Siegel. When we had Craig on, he was one of the owners running Runners High over in Barnegat, right? Is that where it was?
It was It was one in Metuchen and one in Freehold.
One in Metuchen, Freehold, sorry. So the one in Freehold is the one he was in charge of. He did 12 years there, helped build it up, did great things. He's going out on his own, and I think he's going to do great things. He's starting the Outpost Running and Walking Company over in, where is it at? Little Silver. So if you're in New Jersey and Little Silver or anywhere near there, go visit, because
Over by Red Bank.
over by Red Bank, a passionate guy about running. I hope he continues his podcast. And Craig, if you're listening here, you better get us up on the podcast. I don't know what's going on right now, but we're pumped for Craig. We wish him nothing but the best. And when you settle in, Craig, we're gonna have you on again to talk about that. So want to give shout outs here. Caitlin Burkhardt, we're letting her jump in. Alex, I don't know which
Okay.
one that's referenced to, because there's two of us, Caitlin. Just throwing that out there. And he says, my money's always on her. I agree with you, Caitlin. And Benjamin North, I'm assuming is a family member. Yes.
Yes,
What's
my
going on,
brother.
Benjamin? Hi. How is everybody out there? Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all that. So without all that in the way now, we want to focus on you, Alex. I want to ask you the question that we ask every single person that jumps on this show.
Mhm.
So what was the spark for you that started you on the path to say, hey, I could be a great runner? Now I know you're good at a bunch of sports, and you're a multi-talented athlete. You were at Lourdes, but what made you want to focus and eventually pick that sport to do in college?
So for a while, my first love was basketball. I loved it forever. I still love it. But I started running my seventh grade year, and at that point, it was more to stay in shape for basketball. And then I started running, like they pulled me up to varsity. I started running with Sarah Trainer, she transferred to UConn. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. I'm sure you have. She's really awesome. Um, she kind of took me under her wing, and she was like, during my first cross country season, she was like, listen, just like chase my ponytail. And I was like, okay, like I know I'm not gonna see you at all while I'm running, but like I'll chase you, like I can do that. So I just chased her, and then my eighth grade year, our DMR qualified for New Balance Nationals, and that was like the kind of like wow, like I could go somewhere with this. This is pretty awesome. Like I like the team feeling with them, like it was amazing. So yeah, that was like, and then of course it got canceled by COVID, which really sucked.
Yeah.
But after that, then not being able to run, I was like, wow, I could really see myself doing this for the next couple years. And then eventually I was like, oh, I could see myself doing this in college. And here we are.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's it's a story, that a similar story to something we've heard before, like doing
Yeah.
this in order to get better for another sport, and then it's like,
Mhm.
oh wait a minute, I'm really good at this. Now, the fortunate thing for you is we heard that from a lot of distance runners.
Right.
So at least you're, more of a 400-meter runner, but you did run cross country,
I
and you
did,
were
yeah.
a pretty damn good cross country runner as well. Top 5, you were a varsity member.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talk about that real quick. What was that like knowing your best event was 200, 300, 400, you did a 5, like
Yeah.
doing XC? What was the thought process going into doing XC as well?
For a while, well, I started out as distance for sure. Like I started cross country, and I got pulled up and I was running cross country, and I actually really liked it. And then during track season, I know when I ran for FDR, I think they put me in the 3,000 one time, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is awful. Like, I can't do this. So, but then they threw me in the 4 one time, and then I don't even remember. I think I ran like close to 60.
Uh-huh.
And so they put me in that. They're like, oh, we're going to keep you in that. But I was still like running miles each day, and I was going out with the distance people. So I started it, and I did love it. Like, and I just went on a 3-mile tempo run for summer training for track, and I was like, oh, like I don't really hate this as much as I used to.
Nice.
But yeah, I created really great bonds during cross country as well. And as I became more of a sprinter, cross country became more maintenance, and it also became time to recover, but also I needed my endurance because as we know, the 400 is not a short race.
No.
So, I definitely during my high school years, that was more of recovering, getting ready for winter. Especially when I was recovering from my ACL surgery, cross country was like me getting back into it, and we took it slow. I didn't compete at all because my physical therapists were like, listen, that uneasy ground can really mess you up if you're not
Oh yeah.
careful. Yeah. So, but that was amazing. Just like I had a different kind of love because for cross country that year, because I was finally running again. So I was like, wow, I'm just happy to be here and like get back into it. So Yeah, I do have a secret love for it that I don't like to admit because I'm a sprinter, but I do love it.
Well, it's funny, I mean, like there are a lot of kids who don't have anything to do in the fall who are your sprinters or your
Mhm.
hurdlers who come out for cross country, and we kind of call it fall track because you can
Yeah,
kind of coach them and do things to get them ready for what they do best rather than them not doing anything in the whole fall season. They come out to
yep,
practice, maybe run 1 or 2 meets just for the fun of it, just say because they were part of the team, but then train and get ready for what they do best.
yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah,
it's always interesting too, because we said it before and I'll say it again. The greats always find ways to persevere, right? You can have individuals that get hurt and, they kind of buckle up, right? You
mhm,
got hurt, you stayed determined, and you went through heartbreak your junior year, which,
yeah.
I remember because, in the least creepy way possible, I've been following your career because I'm local, I like track.
Yeah,
And, so I know like, hey, there was this Lourdes girl, she's really fast and blah, blah, blah. And you were a shoe-in to be the 400-meter champion your junior year, and you had a quite literal stumble. So I
oh,
want to
yeah,
talk about that race because
A
you were
little
also like
adversity, huh?
in the race
yeah.
itself, you were in position to win, and you were going to run away with it. So what happened that race?
So, I was seeded 4th that race, I think. I wasn't seeded very like, not that 4th isn't high, but I wasn't seeded to win. I was kind of the underdog. Everyone was talking about the top 2 girls, and I was like, I'm coming back. I'm not like for ACL recovery, you're really not supposed to recover for like over a year.
A
You're not
year,
coming
yeah.
back.
Long time, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose here. I'm just here to show out. I'm gonna put everything I have on the track and let the chips fall where they may. And then I came around and my third 100 was pretty damn good if I do say so myself. Like I was like, you know what? Just gonna keep moving
The hardest
and
part too.
yeah, yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'll just make a move and you know what? Whatever happens, happens. My kick, I'm very proud of my kick. I feel like my kick is pretty decent. And then I just remember hearing crossing that 200 and I heard my coach say 24. And I was like, oh,
Ooh.
I haven't even run a 24 in the 200. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I was like, oh gosh. So
Very
the
ambitious, right?
yeah, very ambitious. Yeah. So I just remember the adrenaline. I was like, okay, like everyone says your first like 10 steps have to be quick, you know? And so I made sure they were quick and then I didn't let up and I was going a little too fast for myself. And I think I tried to say like mind over body, like stay up and my body took over and I just remember blacking out and I remember I remember running and then I remember waking up to oohs and I was like,
Oh
"Oh
no.
gosh."
Oh
Yeah, I
no.
was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that." Um, so then I remember getting up, I crossed the finish line. It was pretty
Good.
much yeah, it was pretty much all blur. So I just remember like not feeling great. I remember being
Yeah.
super choppy and kind of just like I felt like I was like bobbing up and down a little too much for my liking and then I just tumbled over.
Did
So
you get hurt at all when you fell?
oh yeah, I had a sprained wrist. And, actually, my 4x4 was competing that day, and I sprained my left wrist, and I had to take the baton with my right hand, and we
Oh
had an
no.
incident oh, yeah, and I missed the 200 after that because I was in the med tent because they
Right.
thought I had a concussion, I was throwing up, it was a mess.
Oh my god.
So, what in New York State, if you miss an event, um, you have to scratch everything else after that. So, we had to
Oh.
do a whole petition. We had to
Right.
go to the board and petition to have our 4x4 run because I had to miss the 200. So they had to go ask the med tent what my conditions were if I was just skipping out to save up for myself for the 4x4. But I was out for a while. I was in the med tent for probably almost an hour, and
Jeez.
yeah, so I had a sprained wrist. I was all wrapped up, so I took the baton with my right hand for the 4x4. And then I had major track burn up and down my legs and my back. So
It's
So
rare that you win those though. Like I'm actually surprised that the officials allowed that because it's rare
yeah,
that the officials even care enough to let the
I
athletes
yeah.
know.
continue. So it was like
Unfortunately,
that was maybe they felt a little sympathy. They're just like, wait,
Hope so.
we just watched her topple. She wants to come back. All right, maybe let's let her
Yeah.
go. Good.
so the
Yeah.
the good thing, I guess, is that you knew after that you had the capability of winning that race.
Yeah,
Obviously, you went out a little too ambitious. Plus, next time you go out that hard, your body will be a little more used to it,
Yeah.
so
for sure.
it won't put you into such shock. I want to know how much motivation did that give you coming into your senior year, and were you obviously you were really really mad and pissed off and upset, but at least knowing that you were only a junior and that you had one more year to come back, that at least had to be comforting. In what way? So in what way did that give you motivation to bounce back and come back to
Yeah, for
senior
me
year?
that was everything. Was that knowing that I had one more year. And I remember like cross country season, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get healthy. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna come back stronger than ever. I'm gonna take this to better myself for winter so that winter I can throw down and I can throw down in the 300 because I could finally run the three now. I was running sixes my whole junior year. Like I was like, you know what? I need like I need some 300s. I need to get out there. I need to be quick.
And some speed.
And yeah, yeah, I was so ready, and it was like it lit a fire under my butt so hard. Like I was so ready to just like work out. I was ready to die on every workout. I told my coach, I'm like, I'm ready. I'm like, I want to be throwing up on that track every chance I get because I need to like go out and I need to redeem myself, you know? Like it was time. So when I placed in the 300 at States,
Yeah.
that was like so huge for me. And like I of course I'm a perfectionist, but I'm a perfectionist. And I was like, you know, like that 39.02, I think it was. Like I was
Yeah, it
like,
was
oh,
fast.
that point oh 0.02, man, like it really
Right,
got
right.
me. But like I remember just like walking off and like crying and like going to hug my mom and like crying on the podium because I was like, you know what, this is exactly what I needed going into spring season. I needed that reassurance that like I can still do it and I can go out there and I can throw down a time that I really am proud of, and I can do that again in spring.
You know, I have to say, I do love like the distance runners kind of influence there when you talked about having a kick in the 400. I don't think
Mhm.
anybody talks about having a kick in the 400, but it's like great to hear like that distance runners influence there. It's like, yeah, I got a kick in the
Yeah.
400. Like it is, but you know, there's three phases to every race, right? So
Oh,
like
for sure.
you're considering that as you're talking about that. So
Mhm.
I want to bring you back down memory lane. We talked a little bit, you know, about the spark and went in there. I want you to give us some of your favorite memories so far from your track career. Now, it hasn't been that long, right? Seventh grade to senior year, but
Yeah.
obviously you have a lot of memories, have a lot of experience. So, what have your favorite memories been from seventh grade up until current
Yeah.
time?
Alright, wow. There's been a lot of them revolve around my relay teams, like, I won't lie, like,
That
I
is how
love all of
most
them.
that is the answer that we get most, because track is a
Yeah.
sport where we love our individual success, but doing something with your teammates, there's nothing better.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
there's nothing better than a 4x4 or a 4x8 relay. Like that is my favorite thing to do. That is my favorite thing to
Nuts.
watch. Like I absolutely love it. And so like I remember nationals we went last year with one of one of my best friends, Izzy. She graduated last year. And it was our last race, and I think we were doing the SMR, and I was with Piper and Mary, and we were like, all right, this is Izzy's last race. We're gonna give it our all. And we go out and we made such a big comeback. And so like walking off the track with her, that being our last race, knowing we did so well was absolutely amazing. Trying to think what else. Like honestly, just like my junior spring track season, like considering the fall didn't happen, let's put that out of our memory. That didn't happen. Um, that whole year, that was like, oh, that was our year. Like I had such an amazing time at every single meet, every practice. Like I just nothing can compare to my junior year spring track season, except for the fall.
Right. So
We'll get that out of your head there. Okay.
Yeah,
no,
that's
well,
that never happens.
I actually want to bring it up really, really quick, more time, because it's very impressive to me to see someone of your age bounce back and use it as motivation. Because as a coach, I've seen that go the opposite way, where
Yeah.
kid falls or something goes wrong, and I've even seen it to the point where they actually quit because they just can't.
Yeah.
So we mentioned earlier how that brought you such a sense of motivation and wanting to get back. Was there any sense of like a pride, ego, and embarrassment, and like I don't want to go and see these people because of what happened, or was it more of the motivational side? Because like we all have different emotions for every single situation. So I was just curious if there was any of that was involved with that too.
Yeah, for sure. So I hate sounding cocky because like it's like
Do it.
my least
Do it.
favorite
No,
thing.
no, listen.
No,
Here's the
Do it.
I
thing.
Go
hate
for
it.
You
it.
got to a little bit because you know what? When you step on that line, we all have done it. You step on that line, you look around pre-race. Okay, I'm fine with all of you. Post-race, I'm fine. The moment my toe gets on the line, I hate every single one of you. I'm
Yeah.
going to beat you all.
Yeah.
I don't care if I got to bleed to do it, right?
Did
So
you
it's like,
watch
yeah, we
any
have that.
of did you watch any of those Olympic trials?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Do you think any of them are cocky? Hell
All
yes.
They
all
gotta
the
be.
time.
They have
Yeah,
to
of
be.
course. Every
Here's the
single
thing,
one of them
there is
is.
nothing wrong
And
with
you have to
following
be
your own
like
paths.
them. If you want to be them, you have to be
Yes.
them.
Yeah,
But they're not disrespectful. But
exactly.
they have a lot of self-confidence, and that might exude cockiness to some people. It
Mhm.
all depends, and different people show it in different ways.
Yeah. So
You-
I
So
was
the
told.
point is, you don't sound cocky. Go for it.
Yeah, okay. All right. I was told from like a pretty like young age that like I Caitlin, do it. I was told from like a pretty young age, like my 7th and 8th grade year, everyone's like, Alex, if you work hard, like you can be a really good runner. And I was like, and it kind of like I was like, and then I started winning. And let's be honest, everyone loves to win. Like
That's
that's
what
such
keeps
a good
people in
feeling.
the sport of running
Yeah.
because, like, the fun fact for everyone that wants to know about runners, most runners don't like running. Okay. Most runners do it and then they experience success. And then it's like,
And they
okay, let's
win,
grind to get
and then
Mhm.
there.
they like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and even it's like the grind of like going out there and like not giving it giving it your best and losing a great race, but knowing you're going to get them next time. Blah, blah. The
Yeah.
feeling of just competitiveness keeps you coming back.
For
It's
sure.
not loving running.
No. Yeah, it's like I love like feeling accomplished after I do a hard workout. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
feeling is amazing. So I was like told really young, like Alex, you could work really hard at this and you become really good. And then like I was throwing down times that were pretty good, and I was like, you know what, like if I'm gonna like put my all into this, like I want to win. Like I need to win. That's like my big motivation. And so when I came back and I fell, I was like, like you can't be that girl that everyone said, "Oh, you're gonna be so good. You're gonna be so good," and then you fall and then you quit. Like that, you can't be that. Like that's
Yes.
not who I am. That's not who all competitors are. Like you want more. You always want more. Nothing's ever good enough. So yeah. So there was definitely I wouldn't maybe a little bit of ego per se, but I think it was more personal ego. Like you're not that person. Like you're not the type to fall and quit. Like you need to get back up. You need to prove yourself because now they're like, "Oh, that's the girl that fell at states." Like, "Ooh." Like, no, you have to be like, "Yeah, that's the girl that fell at states, got up and then won the next
Bullying is
season."
okay when you bully yourself to do great
Exactly.
things.
No,
Like
Yes.
when you bully yourself, that's okay.
so I only asked that question because I feel that everyone knows that people get down, and it makes them motivates them to do better. But I wanted people out there to hear that even at a young age, not just use it as motivation, but fuel it to make you better in every way possible.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
So this kind of branches perfectly into our next topic. And for those of you watching that have just joined us on YouTube, Facebook, hello. Obviously, we're seeing a whole lot of love. And I have to say, easily the most love that we've gotten from friends on a show to the people we've had on. So your supporting cast is obviously amazing.
I
Now
love my
Now,
people.
with
we
that,
need all them to like us on X
yeah,
Yeah,
go
everyone
like
go
us out, go
follow.
follow us, subscribe, give us a like,
on
all the
YouTube too.
comments. We love that. Yeah, like on the likes, they help us a lot. But we want to talk about those relationships
Mhm.
Yes.
because obviously you have strong bonds here. So, how have all the different relationships that you've been able to cultivate helped you to become the runner you are? Because we have your family, we have your coach, we have your friends, your fellow teammates. So,
Mhm.
kind of go through what those relationships have meant to you and kind of put them in their places in your life.
Yeah, so from day 1, my high school coach, even back in 7th grade, like, they've been so inspirational in a way, and, like, even oh gosh, even basketball. Like, I will be so honest, like, my AU basketball coach and my high school basketball coaches back at FDR, like, they, like, shaped me into an athlete. They shaped me into who I am now. They helped so much with that. So I bring what they say to me and how they help me develop, like, today into today and
So,
to
a quick
running.
question with that.
Mhm.
Did playing basketball kind of give you a little more of a competitive edge? Because obviously it's a physical
Oh,
game,
yeah.
it's a different game. So it's like you're getting knocked around a little. You don't do XC.
Mhm.
Yeah, XC is a contact sport. For anyone that doesn't know, cross country
Yes.
is a contact sport, but that goes on
Mhm.
in the woods. But outside of that, did basketball kind of give you that little bit of that edge? And especially to be a sprinter, right? You said you don't want to
Sure.
be cocky. Man, sprinters got to be cocky. Like
Yeah.
distance runners are a little bit nicer. Sprinters, you got to have a little bit of moxie.
Did you
So
see Sprint on Netflix? It was awesome.
Oh my god, yeah.
but
Yeah.
like, so would you credit basketball? You were talking about your coaches. Would you credit like just being competitive in there as like a big thing to give you like the edge that you have?
Oh, for sure, for sure, and, like, I started playing basketball, oh gosh, I was so young, probably, like, 1st grade, and, like my mom was my first coach. Like that was such a great time. But she's always been more like not modest. She was more laid back. So
This
when
is
she was
really
coaching me,
cool. Range channel. Awesome. Ben sent me the
oh,
link. Don't know you, but you seem like such a good person.
oh,
That's awesome. That's a great comment.
That
Thank
is.
that is
you,
so
Range
nice.
channel.
We
Awesome. We
need more of
appreciate
that
it.
out there.
Yes, yes, yes. So go ahead, keep going. I just wanted to highlight that. That's an awesome
Yeah.
comment.
Um, okay, I lost my train of thought. Oh,
Sorry about that.
basketball. Yes.
Basketball.
Yeah, she was more nonchalant and was like, you know what, whatever happens, happens. And then you have her kid who's out on the basketball court, like, I want to win at all costs. Like, we're here to play. Like, we're here to get down and win. So definitely basketball for all those years. I was like, okay, yeah, like competitive side always. I'm a very competitive person in general. Like, not everything's a competition, but like if it is, like I want to win. So that definitely is accredited to that a lot. And then of course, like that friendly competition during track practices also is really great. That helps you push so much. So yeah, that's definitely basketball is part of that.
So in terms of basketball now, in terms of track, how like where did you different build and forge different relationships there in terms of coaches? You mentioned some of your teammates earlier. Like how has those relationships helped build you into where you are now?
Yeah, definitely things that people like my 4x4 teammates, because like when you're working in a relay, you guys are working really closely all the time. And
Yeah.
my coach would put us all together and we do all our workouts together. We would struggle through the same workouts. We'd be heaving on the side, like, you do that together, and that creates like, as much as like you can say like, oh, they're my best friends, like there's no bond like throwing up in the same trash can together. Like it's really that's like
Yeah.
that's what it really is. And so yeah, they were my support system. They were my sounding board like throughout all of high school. And then my coach, Mike Solinsky, man, he is just like he's something else. He himself, he is superhuman. Like there is no one like him. Like I don't know how he does what he does, but he's absolutely amazing. And he oh gosh, oh my God. I'm like so sad to leave him. Like I he just created this pathway, and he always had like a plan for me. And even if I didn't believe in that plan at all, like he told me, he's like, you're gonna hit 39 this season during winter track. And I'm like, you're crazy. Like, you're crazy. All right, but whatever. Like I believe, even if I was like, oh, you're crazy, like I'm not gonna hit that time. I always had faith in him and the plan he had for me. And I never doubted for a second he had my best interest at heart. And so having him guiding me and kind of supporting me along the way was something so special to me. And like he was my rock, especially during going through injury. Like trusting him was so yeah, it was really important.
And that's amazing too.
That's
And we've
wonderful to hear.
heard so many things with like great coaches and things with their athletes, but it's just always nice to hear. And it's something that we talk to, and we've talked to some people that have been coaches, and it's like you as an athlete, you can tell when it's real, when it's
Mhm.
genuine, when they legitimately care about you, the person first, and the athlete second, right? He's not telling you that you're going to do a 39 because it's going to make him look better. He's
Mm-mm.
telling you that you're going to do a 39 because he believes in you and he knows the success that he wants to see you have. And I can
Yeah.
guarantee that he might have been happier than you when you won in the 400. Like there is, I could say from being a coach, Dave could say
Yep.
it as well. There is no better feeling than watching your athlete succeed. And it's like, and not only you, like, yes, he watched you win in 55, but the week before, maybe he watched someone PR that has been struggling. And it's like
Yeah.
that feeling, that adrenaline over and over again as a coach is amazing. And he would probably say the same exact thing that, he was absolutely elated, not because necessarily that you won, but just for you and knowing what you went through. And it's just so cool to hear that impact that he had and that
Yeah.
you're genuinely going to be sad to leave him. Like,
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say when you go off to Penn State next year, just know that you're going to put so much pressure on yourself. Know that you don't need to put any added pressure because you want to make coach or all your friends from high school happy. They're going to
yeah,
love you and respect you no matter
Mhm.
what happens.
absolutely.
You put enough pressure on yourself. They're always going to be there. So don't feel like you have to do more because everyone at home is there and watching you. Do what you got to do for yourself and they're going to be there no matter what.
For sure. Yeah.
And what you're going to find too is, and this is like down the road, obviously, you have 4 more years, maybe 5, depending on eligibility at Penn State. But whatever you decide to do next level, say you get to the point where you're like, I'm going to give something pro a shot, right? I'm going to run some more. You're going to reach back to Coach Zelensky.
Oh, for
He's
sure.
not going to be gone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to
Yeah.
build a great relationship with your college coaches as well and things like that. But you're also going to reach back to all those people. So it's like those bonds and those relationships. Like, Dave was my former coach for a year. And me and him, like, he was with me for a year at Manchester when I was running. And we've kept that relationship now, Jesus Christmas, since 06. God, why are we still friends? But but no, it's been,
I don't know.
It'll be 20 years in 2 years that we've known each other, which is
Yeah.
wild. But
Yeah.
it's like you don't lose those. And I can go talk to any of my former coaches, and it's still the respect of them being coaches and the love of just them all being a part of what we did. And Dave,
Same with former teammates too.
exactly.
Oh,
with
for
former
sure.
teammates. So jump on to your family side now, because obviously you go and you have your 4x4 teammates at practice every day. You have your coach there, but
Mhm.
you go home every single day.
Yeah.
And you have to see mom, you have to see, your whole family there. And I remember experiencing one of the worst things ever is when I had a crap game or a crap race, hearing my parent try to tell me about it. And it's like, I know, leave me alone.
Oh,
But
yeah.
what was that like going through the tough times that obviously your injuries and any down races, and then also the successes with them and things like that? What was
Yeah.
all that in that relationship you had with your family?
Yeah, so well, to start off, my dad, he ran track in high school, and he was gonna run in college too, and then he unfortunately tore his hamstring his senior
Ooh,
year. So yeah,
ouch.
yeah. But he was a runner. I love talking about like running stuff with my dad. My mom, she was a basketball player, softball player,
Oh, wow.
so she
Yeah.
yeah, so she would like, oh my gosh, she would like rub her stomach when she was pregnant with me. She's like, no track. You don't want track spikes, no track. Here we are. But yeah,
That's awesome.
so I could definitely talk more strategy with my dad about that kind of thing. And I could talk about the emotional side with him as well. But with my mom, it was more the emotional side of it, how I was feeling, like things like that. Because she wasn't like she doesn't she knows a lot more now, but like originally she was like, okay, you're doing this because it makes you happy. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, all right, what about the things that like don't make you happy? What are you worried about? What are you stressed about? Like things like that. So it's definitely good that I can come home and I can talk about all facets of it, for sure. And then my aunt, she lives in Philly, but she jumped at UPenn,
Oh,
and
Jesus.
yeah,
Wow.
Wow,
so
fantastic.
yeah, so and she was a college counselor,
Wow.
like college high school counselor. So she helped me a lot with like track, like talking about the strategic side too, and kind of helping me also navigate through the college stuff and with college track and recruiting wise, she helped me a lot with that. So, having the support system that I do, and not to mention like all my friends, obviously they're
Right.
watching right now. I
Yeah,
love
they're
all of them.
fantastic. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie,
they're
they're awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
They're amazing. So having the family and the family friends that always had my back, especially during the tough times of like recovering from ACL surgery and like
Yeah.
oh my god, the bumps in the road were tremendous. And without them, like without the endless support, I never would have been able to done it. And they've sat through my friends, my family, like they've sat through a lot of tears and a lot of angry tears as well because, injury's tough and recovering is even tougher.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're amazing and I cannot appreciate them anymore.
That's awesome.
So how have they been there to help you with the highs and the lows of, when you're getting down on yourself, even if like you're running well? Because, as runners, mental is most of it, to be quite
Yeah.
honest. Like we have the physical gifts, our coaches are going to help to get us better with the workouts, but it's like you can have great workouts. And I went through many spells where in college, especially, I was running workouts worthy of PRing every week. Just got on
Mhm.
the track and couldn't do it in the meet days. Like it was just a mental block there.
Yeah.
How have they helped you not only handle your valleys, but also your peaks where you're kind of feeling yourself a little? And it's kind of like, got to come back down a little bit because you're a legitimately great runner. You know what? There's nothing.
Hell yeah.
And the thing is, you need to like, and sometimes it's weird, right? You sit there and realize
Yeah.
like, you are that senior girl that freshman year people were looking up to. Like
Yeah.
now you're that girl that these freshmen are going to come into Lourdes and the sophomores, juniors, and seniors are going to say, we were Alex North's teammate. Like
Yep.
he's all doing great things at Penn State now. Like
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
think, have you taken a step back and realized how cool that is, and how and like have you like noticed like you're that athlete that you looked up to?
It's
all
hard
the-
to when you're going through it.
Yeah. Not really, only because like I
And I
feel like
wouldn't yet. I wouldn't yet.
yeah.
I
You
would
take a
keep the
moment. You
same
take a
drive.
moment every
You
once.
can, but then get right back on that train and just
Yeah.
keep pushing, you know?
Yeah, no, I haven't really because like in my mind, like I'm still like 15. I'm like a sophomore. I'm not really going off to college. I'm so grateful that like where I'm so excited to go to Penn State. But like in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna
Right.
be in somewhere forever. Like I think every senior goes through that at
When's
one
summer
point.
training starting for high school? I gotta go
Yep.
see my
Yeah,
teammates.
like
Like
I'm in the midst of doing summer training for Penn State right now, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to college. Like I'm still a sophomore. Like what? So
Yeah.
it definitely it's set in. Like I am like beyond excited to go off and start training at Penn State. Like I'm like you guys have no idea how excited I
You're
am.
like, why
And
do I have to wait till the winter?
exactly. Yeah. No, I'm like, get me over there right now. Like I'm ready. Um
I'll run a 10K. Let's go.
yeah. Oh, I don't
hey,
know
it's
about that
6K for the
one.
girls. It's 6K for the
6K
girls.
girls. I'm
6K
sorry.
Yeah.
for
You're
the
right.
girls, okay?
Yeah,
Don't
I
add
don't
that
know if
extra.
I don't know if I can do that one either. Is there a 200? I can run a
You
200.
can with that Penn State on for that first mile.
You
You'd be
get
like,
that
For the
Nittany
first
what am I
Light
doing?
mile.
line on
What
your
am I
chest.
doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah.
So
So,
go ahead.
yeah. Um, yeah, so definitely my family, like they've definitely celebrated my highs with me for sure. Family, friends, everyone, my coach, like we've all celebrated the highs and we're like, like this is really good. We like where we're at right now. But I'm the type that's like, what else can I do? There's got to be more. So it's like I hit that peak and I'm like, this is amazing. Like I'm doing so great right now. I'm so proud of myself. Everyone else is proud of me. But like I'm there for like 5 minutes and I'm like, you know what? There's more to be done. Like, what else can I do?
So
I
this is
gotta be
where
better.
coach comes in,
Right.
right? To tell you, stop it. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes, how
Yep.
many times has he gone to you as you're sitting there in scatterbrain and going, I need to do this, I need to do that. And he's just like, Alex, you don't.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing this week.
See that
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
that
Do
oval? You're
not
running around that.
overtrain.
Yeah.
And that sometimes comes with it, right? You have great athletes like yourself, and
Yeah,
it's like
they
you guys
overthink
want to overtrain, and we have to keep you from
Mhm.
yourself.
or
Yeah.
overthink or
Oh, for sure.
overthink. It's like, see
Yeah.
that oval? Run around it once as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
And it's funny because we talked about, how Ian Hahn was a, guest of the show, and he's a Penn State alum.
Mhm.
And Ian was one of my mentors in high school because he was just getting out of college when I was a freshman, and I was a pretty good runner and things like that. And we knew each other, and he went
Mhm.
on runs with me. And one of the things he told me, and I'm going to keep it more PG, the coach that he had, freshman year,
Old
Penn
school guy.
State, looked at them, and they had a meeting with the freshmen, and he goes, all of you here, you've done well in your state. Maybe you're state champions. Maybe you're this. But one thing you need to realize is you haven't done ish. So get in
Mhm.
here, forget everything that you've done, and just realize you got to work hard here. You're the bottom of the barrel. Get to
Yeah.
work. And it's,
Yeah.
and it's true. And I said similar things to my athletes while I was at Marist. And
Mhm.
you're in a little bit different position because you're at Penn State. But I said to my Marist athletes, if your goal here isn't to become a national champion, then go home. Like
Yeah.
you're a D1 athlete, and you at Penn State, you're at a major program. So like
Yep.
Yeah.
your goal
Yeah.
should legitimately be like Sydney McLaughlin. I'm the next 400-meter champion. I don't care what now. You know what I mean? It's like that's
Mhm.
where your head's got to be. Like Sid,
Yeah.
I don't care what world record you break. That's mine. Like,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
crazy. You're now going to be in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
So-
have those ambitions.
So I have two questions for you.
Yes.
Second one focuses on college, but the first one is being from the state of New Jersey, which I hold dear to my heart. We have what's called the Meet of Champions.
Yes, we
Okay.
Mm.
So we have our groups, which you guys have, and then all of the best groups race each other. So we have one state champion per event.
Okay.
Is that something that you like to see in New York? Like have one more final race where the best race the best, like this group and this division where everyone races each other. So you have one true
Yeah.
champion in that event rather than like 6 or 7 different 400-meter champions throughout the whole
Yeah.
state.
So for us, we have like in New York State, we have Division 1, Division 2, where it's like the small schools are Division 2, I'm Division 2, and then like the bigger schools are Division 1. And so we have the Division 1 champion and Division 2 champion. for any event. And then you have the federation final, whereas they throw all of them together. And
Oh, they
then
do?
yeah. And so they run one last, whatever,
Oh,
400,
cool.
Oh, so that is your meet of
Yeah.
champs. I didn't know New York had that.
Okay,
Good.
because there are most states where they just stop at that group level and they don't ever
Mhm.
have it where they race.
Come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good to know that they have that in New York.
See,
I didn't know
we
that.
need to
See, I didn't know that.
propose one more race. We need to do a New York, New Jersey clash.
Or a
Ooh.
tri-state.
After nationals
tri-state.
or
Throw in
tri-state, get
PA.
Pennsylvania involved. After nationals, one more race where the
Dual meet style.
top three from each event at the Meet of Champions things, which Pennsylvania can't do it. They don't have a mock. They don't have a federation.
Really?
Yeah,
Nope.
they
I
have
didn't know
all
that.
individuals. So it
It's
would have
top
to be New York,
Okay.
New Jersey, where
Yeah.
maybe you take like top 4 from each, top 5 from each, and
Throw 'em
then
in there.
boom, New York,
Now,
New Jersey war every single year. That would be
there's a
fun.
major
That would be
question,
fun.
though. There's a
Mm.
major question. I say no. Steeplechase. No.
New Jersey doesn't do it, so it'll be
We don't
tough.
have it.
Oh.
We
So
don't have it. We
I
also
like
don't have the
steeplechase.
hammer either.
I do too, but we don't have it
Really?
in Jersey.
Yeah, we
Nope.
also don't have the hammer.
We don't hammer now.
Wow.
So we would be at a
Those are
disadvantage.
big. Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like for the meat's sake, they would probably get eliminated, right? I mean, unfortunately, like it would, or it would force New Jersey to add them. So maybe we need to do this so Jersey
True.
adds them.
True.
So that would be fun. So we're pushing for that. New York,
So
New
I have a
Jersey
question.
clash.
Does every high school track have a steeplechase in New York?
I don't think
I don't
everyone does. No.
I don't
No?
think so, no.
No.
Yeah,
I
that
was
is-
no.
curious, like how they practice. I guess they just use
They practice for hurdles. Well, you know, a
Like
lot
little
of times we
hurdles,
practice for
sand
hurdles,
pit,
team
yeah.
distance. Yeah.
sand
So
pit, so.
it's yeah, you figure that out.
Anyway, we've gone way off the trails here.
Fine. That's the fun of a podcast. We can go off the beaten path.
My next question was, now that I know that there is a state championship for New York, so I stand completely corrected.
Now
So
we know the fact. I'm in New
my-
York. I had no idea.
My first question is completely irrelevant, so scratch that one. What was the whole recruiting process and why Penn State? What did they offer you that maybe and you don't have to mention any other school. You can if you want.
Yeah, if you
that
want to
info.
mention the schools it was narrowed down to, obviously that process is done, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to
Yeah.
mention the schools it was narrowed
It's
down to,
up
you
to you.
can.
But like, what about Penn State? Because the recruiting process is way different now than when Alex and I were in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, especially with all like the social
Official
media.
visits, the unlimited
We didn't even
too.
have cell phones when I was in high school. So,
I did.
Yeah,
I'm not that
so
old.
so
Oh, gosh.
why Penn State and what was that whole process like?
So for me, my injury added a whole new level to my recruiting process. My top time was from my freshman year because recruiting starts like your junior year,
Junior year in
late sophomore
earnest.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fall at states it really put me at a detriment in my mind. And so when I was talking to coaches, when I was in contact, I had to send a whole email to them saying like, hey, listen, you're gonna see this like 62 that I ran at states, and it's because I did not run it. Like
I went through in 24 point.
Yeah. Yeah, like I went through a 24. So I had to send in a whole email to all my coaches that I was reaching out to. And so I didn't have the time that I really wanted to put out there for myself. So I was like reaching out to people and I was like, listen, like I'm not done yet. Like I have so much more left in the tank. Like take a chance on me, please. Like I'm so worth it. I
Awesome.
promise.
So what
Yeah.
was your PR after junior year?
After junior year, it was still my freshman year. My 55.25 was
Okay.
my PR. Yeah. So I was like, it was from 3 years ago. I was like, I promise I have more left in the tank. Like, please take a chance. Like, I have more to give and I have more to work for, and I will work for you and I will show you that I have more to give. And for some schools, it's like, listen, we need you to like be where you're at. Like, even if you're not there, like that's not something that we can control. Like if you're just
Right.
not there, you're not there. And especially with schools down south, they're competitive. Like they're
Oh yeah.
like
Those
they're
ACC,
competitive.
SEC schools down
ACC,
there. It's
Yeah.
like
especially
you're
in the
not-
sprints.
I don't care what you think you can do. If it's not there,
Yep.
sorry, we have and the thing is too, I love that school
You're not running
too now.
53 seconds. They're like,
And
sorry.
now more than they had for us, a lot of schools, you go on the recruiting pages, they have their marks.
Yeah.
And they are
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
ironclad with those marks. When
Yeah.
we were there, it was a little more
I had no
like,
idea. Yeah.
I had no clue either. So I was like, but now it is kind of nice because you can look and be like, I'm a 55-second girl. They're looking for 53.
Right.
If I don't
Mhm.
hit that, like I'll send an email, but I know where they stand,
Yeah.
right? Which
Yeah,
is
for
nice
sure.
that you can know where these coaches stand.
And like
Yeah.
you don't have to send like snail mail like when I was in school because I didn't have an internet when I was in high
Mary,
school.
what's up, Mary?
Mary.
So anyway, so you're going through it. You fall. You're getting frustrated. A lot of these schools are not really listening to what you're kind of saying. You're writing these long emails,
Mhm.
and so what happens then?
So, with Penn State, like I'm gonna be so honest. Penn State was like not even on my radar because when I started looking at schools, like when I tore my ACL, I was just like looking at like academic schools, and for me, I wanted a medium-sized school. So I was like, Penn State, it's huge.
Wait,
Like,
I wanted a medium-sized school. Let's go to one of the top 10 biggest schools in the
yeah,
country.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That did not happen.
Did
But
not pan out. No.
no, no. And I'm very glad it did not pan out. But yeah, I was looking for a medium-sized school, so Penn State wasn't really on my radar. And then I reached out and my aunt, she was like, listen, like Penn State, like, because I was looking at like Villanova and UConn academically,
Yeah.
and I was like, like she's like, take a look at it. And I was like, oh, you're right. And I changed my major from what I originally set out, but they had a really great criminology
What is your
program.
major? Yeah.
Right now, I'm going for sports journalism.
Nice.
Yeah. I really,
She's going for sub 51 is her major.
That is, yeah, her major is
that would be
pro.
awesome.
Hopefully, by the time
Yeah.
we're done with the show, you're gonna have guaranteed contracts and pay. Part of
I
our
know.
goal is to get pros paid. But anyway,
Her major is Nike contract. That's the major.
yes,
Listen, I live in Nike Pros, so they might as well, right? Like
Yeah.
everything governors do.
free promotion. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Penn State's not there. You wanted something
Yeah.
smaller, which is
Yeah.
not Penn State. For
No.
those of you out there who don't know, it's a
Penn
rather
State's
large
huge.
school. I thought
Yeah.
Rutgers was big. I went out to Penn
I'm
State.
gonna look up Penn State enrollment right now. You guys,
And Penn
Oh,
State, like if you haven't been there, you're driving out in the middle of nowhere. There's this huge college town, and then you keep going in the middle of nowhere. It's just
yep.
put out there in the middle of nowhere, but it's cool. My buddy went there, so I'll go out there and visit him. So how did this whole thing come to fruition?
So 2 Thanksgivings ago, I think my dad took me to rivalry weekend, and it was Penn State versus Michigan State. And like I was like, oh, we like looked at it, and he was like, you know what, like, I love like sports, like I love the competition. So I'm like, he's like, we'll go out, we'll watch a game, we'll see what happens. And I was like, okay. So we went out, we watched the game. I like fell in love, and I was like,
Well, yeah,
wow,
you're at a Penn
this is
State
amazing.
football game. Like
Yeah,
everyone's
right?
wearing
Like,
white. It's like
if you go experience a whiteout, you'll never want to leave.
no,
Like,
never.
it is.
and also right now the number at Penn State 73,250 students.
Yeah.
Nice
So,
medium-sized school for you.
Nice medium-sized school there.
It's bigger than Poughkeepsie, like the actual town.
Yeah, definitely not a medium-sized school there, but
But hey,
yeah.
Continue.
So
Sorry about that.
it's okay. So I fell in love like after the football game. I was like, and I'm really big on community because you
Yeah.
build a track community when you're running, and I was really big on that. And then you could just like feel the atmosphere. So it was crazy, and I had the best time ever. And then I was reaching out to the coach, and like Coach Rizzo, like he has this energy about him that is like you can't compare to anything. So I was like even over email, like I could like feel it. And so I went for my official and my unofficial, sorry. I went for my unofficial. And we walked through campus, we were talking and like we sat down and I think poor Coach Rizzo. Like we were sitting at that table talking to him for probably like a good like hour and a half too much. And I was like, oh wow, we're really keeping him. But like we like we talked so well, like, it was so easygoing, like, I was like, "Wow," like and you could tell he knows so much, and, like, I have so much to learn from
and you
him.
felt heard because you were sending all
Oh,
these
yeah.
emails to all these coaches, and you felt that they didn't
And
understand. Like
believe me,
it's not
Mhm.
just my actual time. Here's what happened. Here's the story.
Yeah.
Here's who I am. So you were feeling heard.
and
Mhm,
as a
for sure.
coach, having an athlete that's actually interested in the program and asking probing questions and
Yeah.
really wanting to, you're not wasting his time because
Mhm.
you're running national caliber times, but then you're also an individual that's you're not, it's not like, oh, I just did the visit for Penn State just because. Like
Right.
Yeah.
you were actually interested, and believe me, you weren't wasting his time. I
No.
don't I think he will recount that and go, no, I was excited. She was picking
Yeah.
my brain. Like that if
Yeah.
you were wasting his time, he would have been like, yeah, thanks, bye. Like,
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
worry.
Very true. Yeah. So, I'll be so honest, like, after the unofficial, I was like, "I'm going here. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't have to go anywhere else. Like, I'm set." So, after I went on one official visit before I went on my official to Penn State. And then I went to my official and I had like the best time. The girls were so great. I got to sit in on a practice. The vibes were immaculate. Like you could not get any better. It
That's
was
cool.
amazing. It was so nice. And it's like at the time they had like a smaller sprint group, so everyone was so close. And like you could just tell like everyone was so supportive. And I had the best time, and I was, like, so sad. I said to my mom and dad, we were in the hotel room, I'm like, "I'm done, like, we're good, like, sign me up, I'm gonna apply, like, only need to apply to one school, like, we're good, we're fine." And then I had one more official after that, and I was like, "Coach Rizzo, like, I really don't wanna go. Like, I'm set, I'm good." And he was like, "You know what? No, I want you to go on the next unofficial. I want you to go on the
Good
next
coach.
official."
Good
Yeah,
coach.
Great
yeah,
coach.
yeah, and he's like, "I want you to be sure that, like, this is where you wanna be."
So once
And
again, you have that building of the relationship that you
Yep.
have with Coach Zielinski, where he already cares about Alex North, the person, over
Mhm.
Alex North, the recruit,
Right.
Yeah.
which is already such a
You're
cool
not just
thing.
an asset. You're a
Yes.
human.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, all right, like I'll go. Like I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna go. And I filled out and I went in like completely open-minded to my last unofficial. And I just like I came out and I said to my dad, and I was like, Dad, this like can't even compare.
As
Like,
open-minded as you could be.
yeah,
'Cause
as
you
as
like,
smart as I
your
could
heart
be.
was set.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like,
My heart was
the
set.
door was like half
Yeah.
open, half
It
Yeah.
was
ajar. It was a both,
yeah,
yeah.
it was a little ajar. So, I was yeah, we are Ben. I love that. Yeah, so we I left, my dad and I were in the car, we were talking, I was like, "Dad, I like, I'm good." And Coach Rizzo, I literally called Coach Rizzo on the way home from my official, and I was like, "Hey, coach, I wanna let you know that I would very much like to commit to Penn State." And, like, he was, like, so ecstatic over the phone, and I was, like, in the best mood ever. I was, like we were
Sure.
driving from Pennsylvania, and I was like, I'm good." Like, I was so happy, and that way and it just took, like, such a weight off my shoulders going into
Absolutely.
senior year. I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, like, I know where I'm gonna go, and I'm just gonna run my senior year because I wanna be better going into college." Like, this isn't to get recruited, this isn't pressure for that,
Right.
it's more of like, "Okay, like, you can relax, but you don't have to." I can't relax,
Right.
but, like, you can go in knowing that,
Right.
like, you're okay and you're
You're
set. This
committed. You're
is
locked
yeah,
in. Yeah.
you're
Now,
committed, you're locked
do you
in, like
think you would have had that same motivation had you not fallen the year prior and also already committed to Penn State? Do you think that the fall
um,
helped keep that drive strong and going,
I mean, yeah, probably, only because
along with wanting to prove it to yourself too?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well my Coach Zielinski, he always loves to bring it up, like, when we were doing workouts, and
Yeah, of
he loves
course.
to do his little motivational speeches, and
Yep.
the Zielinski speeches are the best, and he would always, like, add in, "So you don't fall over the line." He loves to, like, throw that in there. So, I was like
As any
yeah.
good coach would, of course.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. You gotta keep it fresh. So, yeah, it definitely was like I was like, you fell, like you came back, you're committed, like let's keep the ball rolling, like there's always more you can do. So I wanted to get my time as low as I was like, this is about like getting your time as low as possible going into college. That way, like you're set, like you're in a good headspace, things like that. So yeah.
So I gotta say though, one thing you need to do at Penn State, you absolutely have to go to some wrestling matches. Penn
Oh
State
my gosh,
wrestling is
yeah.
easily the best in the country. They just
They might be
destroyed the record for the championship points last
they
year.
might be the best college team of all time.
That might be the best college program of all time.
Any
Like they're up
sport,
there with
yeah.
Alabama. They're up there with UCLA basketball the many years ago. Like
Mhm.
they are.
Arkansas track
If
90s was
you have
amazing.
never
Yeah.
experienced, like, go experience, like, Penn State versus Minnesota, Penn State versus Iowa,
Mm.
3 of the greatest programs. And I know it's off, like, with
Enjoy
wrestling,
the whole
but
campus.
enjoy
Like,
the
don't
Yeah.
just
campus.
get so fixated, like, on just track, which because you are gonna be. But,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
try to be out, like, when you can embrace campus life, embrace being a student,
I would
student
definitely
athlete.
argue that the wrestlers on campus are, like, as big as your football players there. Like, that Penn
Oh,
State
I'm sure.
wrestling is
Like, they're very popular, yeah.
they're Olympians. The guys that win there are chances at Olympics. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I highly recommend going to see a Penn State wrestling match or 2 because they are awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So,
kind of looking forward to, with, like, sports journalism. I'm like, "Yes, Coach
yeah.
Rizzo." Um, I am, like
Coach, you're
I'm s
coming on the show, by the way. If you're watching, we will have you on the show at some point.
um, we were I'm like looking, I'm like, like I hope that like I get to go in on some of these other sports teams and like go watch and kind of like take a
Sure.
note of everything. Like I'm just like, if you teach me about a sport, like I'm gonna love it. Like I just need to know what's going on and I'm gonna have the best time because it's competition. So I'm
Listen,
definitely excited.
your track coach would rather have you watching some other sporting event than out at some party. So I
Oh,
think
for
you're
sure. For sure.
Agreed.
I'm
And
probably gonna enjoy that
but
more too.
but there's a fine line of, like you have to know, like, all right, I want to go watch this game, but I have a early morning meet, so you can't, but you're gonna
Oh, for sure.
figure all that out. So
you're
Yeah.
definitely gonna, and that's the thing. Like you learn time management as
Yeah.
that's one thing about being a college athlete
yeah,
that I feel is an advantage over a
a
lot of the other
non-athlete, yes,
individuals, non-athletes. We have to be more organized, otherwise we're screwed. Like
Yeah.
we have to figure out time to do our work, to socialize, to go to practice, because we don't have Saturday and Sunday, especially runners. Sure as hell, we usually don't
No.
have Fridays. Like it's like, all right, where's my slip to go give to this teacher on the Tuesday because I'm not going to be here Friday.
Yep.
Does this teacher hate athletes? Like you're gonna find that out. Dave
Gotta hope
knows what I'm
not.
talking about.
oh
You
yeah.
have those teachers. I don't accept athletic slips. It's like, what do you mean? Of course you have
It's like,
to.
I
I'm
need
not
you
gonna be
to,
here
please.
Friday. Like I'm gonna be in Minnesota. What are you talking about? Like, like so
Yeah.
you experience all
I'm
that.
sure
But
it's different now. I'm sure.
I
Hope
doubt it.
so.
There's always professors that hate athletes.
I'm
Like
sure they don't hand out slips now, though.
yeah, it might all be digital, but you know what? They'll bring the slip anyway to piss those ones off. Anyway, so in your process of being recruited, what could you say that you were looking for in a school, like academically? And you talked about like the culture and things like that. Um,
Mhm.
because I
Medium
like
sized.
yeah, medium size, obviously, but I like to talk to the athletes and let you kind of give your bits in that you were looking for to more future athletes that are maybe watching this that are going to go through the recruiting process, because we like to remind them and anyone that's watched this before, you're not only looking at the schools. They're not trying to sell them. You're not only
Yeah.
trying to sell yourself. They have to sell themselves to you. That's
Mhm.
why you're going on these visits. It's both, right?
Yeah.
So, what kind of, you talked about the culture and stuff, but like what academical you're looking for and things like that, you kind of touched, but go a little
Yeah.
more detail as to what you were looking for and what made the decision so much easier to be Penn State.
Yeah, so when I first had my ACL surgery, we didn't know if track was going to be an option.
Yeah.
So my mom and I, we sat down over the summer and we were just like, we went down and we like wrote down schools just academically that I was interested in. Like I read a book, it was getting recruited. I forgot who it's by, but it was like the broken leg test. Like if you couldn't do your sport anymore, you broke your leg. Like, do you still want to be at the school you're at?
Yeah.
And like
Great.
that's so major because a lot of like athletes, they don't do that and then something happens, the coach
Yeah,
they like leaves, they get injured and they
that
don't like,
happens a lot. Yep.
yeah, and like and then they go to school where they don't have your program you want, so now you're stuck doing classes for a major you don't like, or things like that happen and you don't like where you are, or you're too far from home and you can't go home when you're injured and things like that. So that was so important to me, was finding somewhere academically that was stable and that I thought if I broke my leg, if anything happened, like I still want to go there. And then so that took a while and I was just narrowing things down. I have to tell you, I spent for that summer, I spent it in my car going up and down the East Coast, going to as many
Oh
college
yeah.
Yeah.
admissions tours. Yeah, it was a lot. And but even the ones that you don't like, that they kind of just they influence you because
Right.
and just what you do like after that, like
Yeah, you take something
yeah,
from each of them.
And
of
Absolutely.
course.
that's also like some of maybe the last great quality time you might have with your parents.
Yeah.
Like because like you're going off, starting your whole life now. Like that's that last time. So when you look back, even if it was a school that was terrible, like you
Mhm.
did that with people that you cared about,
Yeah.
who won what was best for your. I mean, I'm not. I don't know if you went with your parents or not, but whoever you
Mhm.
went with, you'll have that memory with them for the rest of
Yeah.
your life,
Yeah,
which
I
is
went with
awesome.
yeah, I went with my mom. Me and my best friend, my mom drove me and my best friend down, Kayla. Um, we went to schools in the South that we went around Virginia, Clemson, like Maryland.
Yeah.
We went from like all the way up here, all the way down. Like
Nice.
we were going everywhere. So it was amazing. And it really puts things in perspective for you. And so for me, like when we were driving down, like 9 hours is far. Like 9 hours is far. And you don't realize it. You're like, oh, 9 hours. Like that's not even a full day. Like I can do that. Like
That's a
Then
Star Wars
driving, you're like
trilogy.
you're like,
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna take a plane home next time. Like,
exactly.
I'm gonna
Exactly.
try and find the
Yeah.
cheapest regional and maybe take a plane because hey,
Mhm.
listen, we have Dutchess Airport right here. It's not that
Yeah.
hard. Just get a small plane in there.
Yeah, so it really put it in perspective for me. And so when I was looking at Penn State, I was like, wow, their criminology program's like pretty nice and their track team is pretty nice. Like say if that's in the cards for me. And I was just looking at it and then we went to campus and we just did an admissions tour there and we were just walking around and I was like, wow, like this is really great. And it was like a self-guided one that me and my dad did
Yeah.
after the football game.
You
But it
walk
was
by the lion.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The
And it
Nittany
was like,
Lion, you walk by
oh
that
yeah.
that thing's huge.
Oh,
It
it's
is.
humongous. We took pictures with it. You always gotta take pictures with it.
Of
You
course.
have to.
Yeah. So, and it was like raining that day, and even though it was like rainy and crappy, I was like, wow, this place is gorgeous. Like oh my gosh, like everywhere you look, there was like something going on. It was so nice.
I love it.
So yeah. So academically, like whenever anyone like asked me like, oh, like what was your recruiting process like? Like, what'd you do? I was like, always look academically first because you are a student athlete. There's student first,
See,
you need to.
these high school kids now, man, I
Yeah.
would have been like, I'm looking for the subject of track. It's just great to see how stoic and how well spoken all these high school athletes that we talk to are. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why they're gonna have futures that are gonna be positive
That's
because
why they're going to
they're
Penn
already
State.
compartmentalizing and
Right.
doing things like that. So I want to dip into in terms of the teams,
Mhm.
because we've heard some different things. We've heard from some of our athletes like, "Hey, this team was all work, very little play, and we
Mhm.
just were grinding." Like Colorado comes to mind, and we talked to like, the Toros brothers and Slattery and things like that. Like they were all business. And then
Yeah.
there's others that are like, it was a much more loose environment. We worked hard, but we also, we had fun together. We were really close, and it wasn't that, you know, kind of super competitive
Right.
drive. And they also, in both styles, had incredible success. So,
Yeah.
what were you looking for? Were you looking for a blend of both, a very work ethic type of group, a more looser type of group in terms of because you went on your official visits and you kind of get those
Mhm.
feelings with all those teams.
Yeah.
What were you looking for there?
I'm a very lighthearted, jokey person, so I very much needed a place where I could like still like joke around and have a good time, but then like when it comes down to like doing reps and getting it done, like I was like, all right, I'm here to work hard,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're gonna put in the work. So I definitely needed a little bit of both. I needed the lighthearted, but still like, all right, like when it's time to practice, like you can still have fun, you can joke around, you can laugh, but like when you put that foot on the line, like it's go time. So
Yeah, it's like right before you get to the line to repeat twos, it's like, all right, we're doing 35s, right? And then,
yeah,
and
and
there's
then
like,
you're
yeah,
and all of a
no,
sudden you're
go
doing
drop that
30s.
29 and shut up. Like do
Yeah.
that 29, 28 and be quiet.
Yep.
Like, but
Yup.
yes, you do need
Yeah.
that. So you were looking for, yeah, the fun side when you guys were together hanging
Yeah.
out, like family, but business on the track. And I feel
Yeah.
like, and that's I think it's an important thing for any athletes watching this to realize that not every team is the same. Not every
No.
mentality is the same. And your coach kind of helps reflect that, right? Like you were saying,
Yeah.
like, Coach Rizzo is super exciting and things like
And
that.
then
And
a lot
those
of kids,
lightheartedness
you know,
helps.
a
Yeah.
lot of kids look for some similarities in their college coach from their high
Yes.
school coach, and then
Yes.
some
Mhm.
look for the complete opposite too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got the
I love it.
I had brutally honest high school coaches and I had a brutally honest college
There you
coaches.
go.
And that's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
That
but
race sucked. Yeah, I know.
it works
I
for you.
know.
So you mentioned earlier how you followed the U.S. trials,
Yes.
which I think is great because when I was in high school, we said it often. Not that many kids who I ran against followed the sports or even knew who any of the pros were. So I think it's great that this generation is watching the races.
Outside of like the free Bob Kennedy poster we all
Right.
got taped on
Yes,
our
of
walls,
course.
the Prefontaine one.
Yep.
Like those were right next to each other in every runner's room. Bob Kennedy, Prefontaine, nothing else.
Yep. So, who are some of the athletes that you are looking forward to watching? And are there any athletes that are currently running that have inspired you, as
Hmm.
you've grown up and watched this sport?
Okay, well, one that's not running, but totally is influential for me is Allison Felix.
She's amazing.
Like you like oh my gosh. Like I always joke about me and my mom always joke, if she ever knocked on my door and was like, "Hey Alex, come to South California." I'd be like, "Okay, bye mom. Like have fun." Like I'm gone. Bye.
Like she also like showed that as a female athlete, being a mother doesn't have to stop you from being an
Yeah.
athlete. And we're seeing now with like Ellie
Ellie
St.
St. Pierre,
Pierre
yeah.
or
Yes. Yeah.
Shelly, was it Weibo in the
Yes.
Bahamas, the 400-meter girl. You know, like
And
you're
Dave and
seeing
I we were
come
just
back
joking.
and actually run stronger and better. And a lot of them say that they're training harder and better because their life feels more complete. And she was one of the first to show that
Do that.
happen.
Yeah.
Had kids, came back, was better. I mean, she's got more Olympic gold medals than anybody. What a great
Yeah.
role model.
And
Yeah,
Dave and I
she's
were talking
amazing.
about that before the show that
Yeah,
like
just
we
happened to
could
be
see
friend with daughter.
Sid doing it again, winning, Cindy McLaughlin dominating,
Yeah.
and then taking some time, starting a family. She's obviously married,
Coming
but then
back
also
and
coming back and resetting world records. And it's like,
Yeah.
so like Dave said, like you're looking at Allison as a female. Does that give you hope that you can go be successful if you get to that level, start a
Mhm.
family, and then there is now training and enough knowledge and know-how on how to get female athletes who were at the top to continue to stay there, to not,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we've seen that,
It
they
just gives
have,
you options now.
yes, yes.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So we have
It's so important.
So we have Allison Felix.
Who
Great.
else we got?
Mhm.
Who else we got?
Let's see. Well, Sydney McLaughlin, obviously, like she's a machine. Like if like you don't not want to be Sydney
Unfair.
McLaughlin.
I'm
Like,
from
hello.
New Jersey. I
Yes,
coached
we are.
high school, and I say this often on this podcast. While she was running in high school, coaches would stop, the other athletes would stop, and just watch her
Yeah.
run. And she's like a 14-year-old high school because she was like a 20-foot long jumper then. Too.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just
Yeah.
Just such a good
That's it.
athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah, I'm
those
Sid.
all around athletes, man.
Now, so do you find yourself obviously maybe rooting more for the U.S. athletes, but are there any other athletes from other countries that you watch that kind of get you inspired and you appreciate everything that they do?
Yeah, I mean, well, personal experience. Femke Bol when she fell, and
Yeah.
like that was huge.
4x4
And like,
mixed relay. Yep.
yeah, and like, oh, I'll be so honest. When I saw her fall, I cried because I was like, wow, that's like exactly what happened to me. Like I felt that so hard, and so like seeing her, and then she got back up, and then she won, and like, oh my gosh, like I was like, yeah, that's like exactly what every person needs to do when they fall. They need to get up. They need to keep going. They need to win.
And
Like, oh,
And
it was so
just
good.
the fact
in the 400
that
weekend.
Yeah.
like and just the fact that Alex can even say that she has a shot to maybe beat Sid shows that like
Do.
can you imagine the fact that like these two are coming together at the same time? They're both like
Yeah,
it's
and
unreal. It's
we've had
unreal.
this argument. Dave's like, there's no way Femke Bol can beat Sydney McLaughlin.
If they're both on.
If they're both on, I think Sydney wins. But Sydney needs to have a perfect race if Femke's there, and Femke needs to have an absolute perfect race to have a shot. But out of
Yeah.
everyone there, Femke has a shot.
Yeah.
It's an
Oh, for
outside
sure.
shot. But I also think we see Sid possibly dip under 49. So
Oh,
I
no,
don't
no.
know.
Under 50.
Yes.
No, I mean under 50,
Okay.
get into 49.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I don't know. I think she can run a 48. I'm not gonna lie. I really think Sydney McLaughlin can run a 48.
I
don't
can see her
that's
splitting
out of the
46 4x4.
Do it. 46.
And America's down. City gets she's
Honestly,
45-4.
You would absolutely have to test Sid. I would call for the steroid test if that happens.
She's just that good, man.
So is there anybody else, or that kind of like your group?
Yeah, that was kind of my group. Those main three. Yeah.
That's a
I mean,
solid group.
yeah.
those
I
three there.
know, coaching high school now, there were a lot of young ladies who were very upset that what happened to I think Moo. You know,
Yeah.
they were like,
Oh
like
my
they were
God,
so
yeah,
upset.
wait.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh my God. Yeah. It's honestly it shows that it can happen to anyone. And like everyone always says like, "Oh, that won't be me. It will never
Everyone
happen to
penciled
me."
her in for the
Yeah.
Olympics.
Yeah.
know?
And it's like, oh, and you can do it on such this big stage for your event. And it's like, oh my God, it's like it's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking to see. And it's like but it puts you in perspective for me. I'm like, yeah, those Olympians can fall and they can
Yeah.
get back up. And it's yeah.
And
And
she's kicking herself
listen.
because she knows she needs to run out front with her stride. She
Mhm.
tried something
And
different, and it kind of bit her in the ass a little bit.
everyone always says how like she doesn't love running. You know, she has
She's
all
racing again.
these other interests. To her credit, if that was the case, she would not have got up and finished. She would have walked off.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
gave it a real shot. She
I'm
tried
saying
to
she
contact.
finished.
did.
I
Yeah.
gave her credit.
She really tried to get contact
She
again.
didn't just get
Came
up and
Yeah.
leave. She finished that whole race, no matter
Yeah.
what place she was in or her time, she finished it. I give
Yeah.
her credit for that.
And and I hope that you don't experience this in this way, but I think the issue with Sid in a thing, they've already accomplished so much and
Mm.
they're young.
It's
So
hard.
it's like at this point, does a thing Mo have anything to prove to us? She ran 154.
Yeah, but yeah.
What does she have to prove? What does Sid really have to prove? She's just gonna go reset world records and they're
They
already
both
champions.
won
Mhm.
the Olympics.
Yeah, so it's like, and they both stormed on right around the same time as these young upstarts kicked in the door, and it's like, what else do they have to do?
Which is
Yeah.
why this sport needs to start being like other sports and pay more.
Yes, I agree. So that when Alex is in the position to be a pro, she
Mhm.
has a guaranteed contract so she could chase her dream. So
Yep.
the last
too.
question I want to round out the show with, that we ask everyone here.
Mhm.
One thing that we talked about a few times is getting our pros paid. Now, you follow the sport, and pros do not get paid well in this sport. Most pros are not paid. They are unattached, they're unsponsored, and we saw a slew of them at the trials, right? How many
Yes.
unattached
Oh
individuals
my gosh, yeah.
racing well? And one of our hometown heroes, Eric Holt from Carmel,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, he got DQ'd in the 8, but it's like, it is what, like, he knows, but he finally got his Puma sponsorship, but that's something we've had him on the show twice. We battled for him.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we want to see is we want to see track athletes get paid. We want to see more casual fans
Mhm.
joining the sport. So if you had a magic wand and you could
Mhm.
make any change to the sport possible that you want to make in order to bring the casual fan in order to get our pro athletes paid, what change would you make?
Oh my gosh.
Big question.
It's so loaded. Oh my god,
It
there's
is.
so much. Like, ugh.
You
Oh my
could
god,
stream
like
of
what?
consciousness too. You don't have to pick one. Just roll with it.
Like, ugh. Oh, like, ugh. There's
All
so
right,
much.
I'm gonna give her
There's so
hints.
many
No,
layers.
don't give her hints.
I'm gonna
Listen,
give her hints.
original content here.
There's so many layers. Like, obviously, obviously, like with sponsorships and things like that. Like, there's so much that goes into that, and like there's so much that gets pulled from like other sports as well, like football, basketball, baseball, like the big, and track isn't the most popular, and I think that's because a lot of people don't understand it and they don't get it. And like you have to come from the track world, and I wish it wasn't the case because it's such an amazing sport and there's so many layers to it and there's so many events. So I feel like with viewers, like if there were more viewers, if more people understood it,
Yes.
they would get so much more
Yeah.
attention and
Yes.
and it's such a great sport and I wish people
Me
did
too.
like
I
try
always
to
said
understand it.
like you almost have to put things in layman's terms. Like I loved that they had Snoop Dogg out there explaining the pole vault. Like
Yes.
we need like something
Mhm.
basic like that so that they understand how hard this is. Like, or I always say,
Yeah.
like, grab a 16-pound bowling ball and see how far you can shot put it. Not
Yeah,
easy,
yeah.
So here's a
No.
But
question, Dave, that I didn't think of that maybe we might want to try and present,
what's
and
that?
something that I think you would enjoy, Alex. They used to do, Alex, I don't know if you remember the show, but Pros versus Joes. It might have been before your time, but
Maybe.
it was when, pro athletes would do like, you mostly retired, but would go against average people and just kind of kick their ass in the sports. Some of the Joes were good and just true athletes.
Mhm.
Maybe we should do something, and it would be difficult because other pro athletes might not try it, but you get some to do like some of the best runners, and not even some of the best runners, some of your pros up
Mhm.
against some of the top athletes in the other sports and just kind
Yeah.
of whoop their ass. Like have like some basketball players try to high jump and try to long jump
Yeah.
and put them up against the best high jumpers and long jumpers, or even just
The
pros.
other athletes from those sports would not expose themselves to
I
of
think some of
getting
the middle
embarrassed.
tier would. I
Some
think
would,
some of the
yes.
middle tier would, and that's big enough, right? Like if
Yeah.
Mhm.
Patrick Beverly came to do a high jump against the best high jumpers,
Yeah.
Patrick Beverly could dunk. Patrick
Yeah.
Beverly
Yeah.
has ups, and you put him up and say he gets, and competes, but just to go and show the
How hard it
level
is.
that, and I
Yeah.
feel like you can get a whole bunch of football players, basketball players that were track guys
Yeah.
Oh,
and
for
were
sure.
track girls that still love the sport that make
Yeah.
like Tyreek Hill. You take Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf, I think they would come and run against like
Oh, for
Joseph
sure.
Lyles and against some of them, maybe not Noah, maybe not
No, they're not running
Arian,
against Noah, no.
but you know what though? They might run against some of the 20-second guys and
Yeah.
21-second guys.
Maybe.
And I think that could be interesting and just kind of show like,
I would love
hey,
it.
we're here.
Like
The
Yeah.
old
I think that'd be
superstars.
great.
Yeah.
So
I think I think exposure is so important, and I wish more people knew about it and understood. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you're just running." It's like, no, like we're not
their
just running. Like,
strategy.
yeah, there's so much more to it, and I wish
Even
people
a
understood
100
that.
meter, like people,
Oh my
oh, you
gosh,
just
Huge
yeah.
like,
strategy.
you know how much start there is? Like just
Oh,
in that
The
start, and
technicals
then
yeah.
just to getting down in blocks.
and it matters.
Yeah.
All that matters.
So to
So much.
everyone watching, if you would like to help with what Alex is saying,
Mhm.
smash the like button, subscribe, share the show, because one of our goals is to do what Alex is saying. It's to expose the world and expose the, not just the running world, but just everyone out there to Alex's story, which I think is awesome. And
Love it.
just hearing her passion and emotion of the things that she went
And the
through
adversity.
in so short a time, right? From seventh grade
Yeah.
to 12th grade. In 5 years, she's went through all this and she's had such an amazing career already. And we've talked to people that had 15, 20-year careers and had great
Yep.
stories there too. So
Yeah.
if you guys, anyone watching here, if you would like to have Alex's dream come true, this will be part of it. Because what we're trying to do is to get that exposed, is
Mhm.
to that, when Alex is done in her 4 or 5 years at Penn State, is running 52 seconds, is ready to
Mhm.
get that pro contract, and is looking at it and maybe is on the borderline, but it's like, you know what? No, there's a league here that's going to pay you $50K a year with training, with gear. And it's like, yeah, let's do this.
Yep.
That's our goal, is to try and get there. So please go there and do all that good stuff. So I love that idea. And I think exposure is
Crucial.
absolutely, one of the best ways.
Yeah.
So Flow Track
Mhm.
is getting the Diamond League. You currently have to pay $30 a month to watch Flow Track.
Yeah.
That's not going to help bring in fans.
How do you feel about exposure with the Diamond League, the sport's biggest league, now
Yeah.
behind the $30 paywall?
Yeah. Well, I think. Well, let's be for real. Everything in this
Thank you,
in
Caitlin.
this world right now. Yeah, love you, Kay. Everything in this world right now is so expensive. Like,
Yes.
it's such a struggle. And I'm a teenager. I'm a working teenager. Like, I'm trying to save money for college. Like, like everything's so expensive. And like, just like thinking about like, you have like your house payment and your car and gas, and it's like it's so hard to be like, oh, that extra
Right.
$35 could be like going towards my gas for the week or things like
Yeah.
that. Um, so I think it's really hard, and it's like with the marketing part of it, everyone has to make money somehow. And unfortunately, sometimes it turns out that like making that money or getting that service, you're gonna have to pay a little extra for them to make their money. And sometimes that's just not within reach for people. So
Yeah.
I think that I
I'm
think it's a really
curious.
hard balance.
There's a lot of different things, like maybe they'll change their price point or a la carte pay per event. I don't know, but we
So
will
I
see what
asked
happens. But I would hate to see, because track has this amazing momentum going at the
it does.
moment. We
Yes.
have the Olympics, the biggest event in our sport coming up. And I
Mhm.
think that the ratings are going to be astronomical for a track. I think they're just going to
Absolutely.
be huge. And I think that with this new league, because we got Michael Johnson coming in, that it's a great time. I hope that we can figure out this flow track thing.
Mhm.
And the last thing I want to ask you, we asked Drew Griffith last week and his response was positive. I'm going to ask you,
Mhm.
we're friendly with Dave Alfano, Trials of Miles. He puts on some great events.
Mhm.
And then also there is the American Track League with Paul Doyle. And this last week at the Ed Murphy is becoming a premier meet every year. There's some great races there.
Yeah.
But the issue is, where the hell do you watch these races, right?
Mhm.
If those races were streamed on YouTube, on Twitch, on X, and maybe there's some advertising for it, even if it's just social media posts.
Yeah.
If you knew it was there, would you like watch it on X if it was just
Oh, for
stream
sure.
free?
Yes.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Without a
So
doubt.
that's the thing. Like, and the thing is, we all can get YouTube on our TVs now too. So it's real easy because we
Yeah.
all have apps, Roku, Fire Stick,
Yeah,
whatever. So would that be something in the North House that you would just be like, and even at Penn State, I can imagine
For
the
sure.
Penn State house would just go on YouTube and just be like, oh, the ATL meets on, throw it on the
Yeah.
background. Like,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
that's one thing I'm trying to sit there and hello, Flow Track.
Yeah.
Make them free on YouTube. Like, I don't know. I just think
Yeah.
talking with
Yeah.
you and exposure, there's your exposure, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
everyone hates ads. Like, everyone dislikes them. But if I have to sit through a couple ads so I can watch my track stuff for free, like I'm not gonna have a problem with that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Mm.
I'm happy that, I think we need to get Dave. That's another question I want to ask. If it was on streaming, and I think we'll get different divide answers. I think we'll get our younger
It
kids.
depends
Like,
on the
yes.
age. Yep.
I think we're gonna get our boomers that would be like, "What's that?" I remember you turned on the TV and it just started going to the channels like that. You didn't have to find your app to get your channels. Right. Dave's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm experiencing now."
No, I'm good with the TV.
But anyway, Alex, thank you so much for coming on. This was an absolute blast.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for having me. I loved it. It was great.
It was so much fun.
Yes.
So once again, she's Alex North. She is New York State 400-meter champion, which has to sound really good after last year, representing Lourdes High School, an incoming Penn State freshman. You can obviously tell that she has immense passion for the sport. And Coach Rizzo, you are getting a fantastic young lady, and I think you know that. Obviously, you recruited her, and you have to look like the smartest guy in the room because you grabbed her junior year and places in the 300, which isn't her main race, and then boom, comes back in the 4. So, and I think Coach Rizzo's looking at that, going, "Wait, she got stronger as the distance went up."
Or he was the only coach who was smart enough to read her actual emails and say, "Here's what happened."
True. So, we are fans. I've been a fan of yours for a few years now, just being local from the area, but you certainly have 2 more individuals that
Yep.
are in your corner, going to be tracking your career, and we already are punching our ticket for that show when you are making nationals,
Thank
and
you.
you're sitting there and you're just on nationals, and we're going to make you take some time to come and do a show with us
Oh, for sure.
so that we can talk about your career there. And
Yeah.
we would always love to have you back on.
Sounds
So is there
amazing.
anything that you would like to give a shout out to? You have an X, you have an Instagram. Do you do anything fun on those?
Um, I'll be so honest. I'm not a big social media person.
Gotta start marketing
But
yourself, young lady.
I
Let's grow the
know, I
sport.
know.
Focus on freshman year first.
I know, exactly. I'm gonna get my legs wet with the
I
freshman
guess
year
that's
stuff.
allowed.
Yeah, but I just started posting more about like my track stuff on my social media now. So
Awesome.
yeah, so definitely, yeah, I
So
posted
go
some on
on
my Instagram.
X. Yep, X. You could see it right on there on screen at Alexandria 51124, and on Instagram at AlexG406. You can go follow her there. So everyone, we appreciate everybody for watching. If you liked what you saw, and if you're listening on podcast, thank you. If you like what you hear, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, 5-star rating wherever you are. We appreciate all the comments from your friends and family. You guys have no idea how much it actually helps the show with the algorithm and things like that.
It's great.
That's awesome. Any likes you can give, follows, all that good stuff. We appreciate all that. We'll be back next week with another fantastic show. But I do have to say, these last 2 weeks have been absolutely incredible.
These high school kids are killing it.
You guys are amazing. You guys are, honestly, you guys are our bread and butter. We love everyone else. The high school kids you guys might be like the most put together out of people that like actually do media.
Really?
No, it's amazing. Like we have not had a like nervous high school kid.
No,
Like,
they've
you
been
guys
wonderful.
have all been fantastic. And I think
Good to hear.
we talk about like the crappiness of social media, right?
Mhm.
But kind of like the credit of the social media age, you guys are all on screen. Every single
Yeah.
one has
Right.
made a TikTok at some point, right?
I also think too
So
that having to go through COVID and school being virtual helped
Yeah,
all these kids feel so much more comfortable in front of a screen.
for
yeah.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
So we appreciate everyone. We, definitely go give us a follow there. We'll be back next week, and go track Alex's career. She's going to